Welcome to Coffee and Popcorn, where we bring you the most striking stories from around the world. Today's story is about a young couple who are in a long-distance relationship, but one of them is getting the feels for a coworker. Will they be able to resist temptation, or will the world crumble away beneath their feet? Let's find out.
I've been with my girlfriend since January of 2022. I met her during a trip to Mexico in August 2021, and we hit it off right away. I worked remotely, so I was able to visit and stay with her for as long as I wanted. Still, because of the distance, there were times when we didn't see each other for 2 to 3 months. I got back to the US in February and planned to see her again in May, her birthday month. My girlfriend had a male coworker she was close friends with, and over time they got even closer, but he seemed very weird to me. All through January and February, I often brought up the fact that his presence made me uncomfortable and that I could sense his intentions. She kept saying they were just friends, that he's just a coworker. However, whenever she had problems with him at work, or if there was an issue with their friendship, she got very emotional about it and cried. Eventually, this friendship came to an end, and I didn't think much of it after that. 2 days ago, me and my girlfriend had some wine, and we shared a wonderful night together. She went to sleep a little earlier than usual and left her phone next to mine. That's when I had the urge to check it for the first time. I know it's an invasion of her privacy, but I couldn't help it. I looked up my name in her messages to see if anything was being said about me. Everything seemed normal at first, and then I saw things that made me feel like I was being cheated on. There were messages between her and her best friend, and she'd been talking about this coworker over the course of 2 to 3 weeks. She was saying things like, "I really want to sleep with him. I would never leave my boyfriend for a guy like him. He's only good for sex. Yesterday we hugged in the office and I felt his junk. I wanted him so badly. I want to sleep with him, but he keeps making it complicated." You get the idea. I confronted her about this, and she broke down, insisting that nothing happened. She admitted that she wanted to sleep with him, but after some time she realized how wrong it was and cut him off. She said that he offered to meet her at a motel a few times, but she refused, and that she's never done anything physical with him. However, the messages were still there, and I couldn't get them out of my head. I felt disgusted that she felt so strongly towards another guy. Temptation's real, and I'm sure many people go through it. At times we might even ask ourselves the question, what if? But these fantasies are short-lived and never move beyond a quick thought or fantasy. However, this was different. While she didn't act on it, or so she says, she wanted to, and described over multiple days the things she wanted to do with him. She sent pictures of him to her best friend, practically bragging about him. I told her that we need some space so we can both focus on ourselves. But honestly, I don't know if I want to see her again. I feel betrayed, and I don't know if I can trust her. She begged me, pleaded, and said how much she loves me. I love her too, but I just can't see myself staying at her house any longer.
Long-distance relationships are tough, and if you can't trust your partner, you don't have anything. Even if OP decides to work things out with his girlfriend, every time he's home for a few months, he'll struggle to trust her completely. Co-workers are one of the biggest threats to a relationship, and it amazes me how people still underestimate this. Since OP didn't find any messages about them hooking up, maybe it didn't happen. Or maybe his girlfriend just wasn't careless enough to share that information with her friend. One of her messages stood out to me, though. When OP's girlfriend said, "I want to sleep with him, but he keeps making it complicated," but later on, went on to say that he's invited her to motels but she's never gone. That didn't quite add up for me. Maybe I'm missing something, though. Let me know in the comments. In any case, this relationship's been tainted. Fixing it would be hard if OP and his girlfriend were living locally, so the fact that this is a long-distance relationship makes it much more difficult. I imagine OP's investing a lot into his visits, so maybe his attention and resources would be better spent elsewhere. Let's see what's being said in the comments.
TM Chad says, "You guys just started dating in 2022 and she's already wanting to sleep with another guy? Do not stay with her. Your so-called girlfriend can't stop herself from lusting after another guy, and you've only been together for a year. She was tempting fate by hugging him. How closely did they hug? I mean, she could feel how excited he was and stuff. The fact that he's offered to go to a motel with her means that he's very much aware of how much she wanted to sleep with him. Honestly, now that you've told her you need space, she probably jumped into bed with this guy right away. I would run before you guys have kids and a mortgage." Ann Ofred says, Yeah, you're going to have trust issues from here on out in this relationship if you stay. This leads to unhealthy things like wanting to monitor her and getting upset if she ever mentions anyone of the opposite sex. I don't do jealousy, it's not my go-to feeling, and I don't want it in my life. A part of that is not setting myself up to stay in relationships where the other person makes me feel suspicious or jealous. I would stay gone after this, especially since you caught her. It's not even like she told you herself. With the phone thing, it's not great, but sometimes you get the feeling. I say, if you feel like you have to check your partner's phone, something's wrong. That said, we need to stop doing the I couldn't help it thing. You could, it was a choice. You weren't sleepwalking, but it came from somewhere. That somewhere was a feeling of distrust after her reactions regarding this particular person. It's hard to tell you to ask her when you already don't think she'll be honest.
The story didn't end there, though. While I was in the middle of creating this video, OP posted an update to the story, so let's see what happened next.
Since the last post, I've had a few conversations with my girlfriend about what happened. Naturally, there were things I omitted because I didn't have the mental capacity to deal with it at the time. It's only fair that I tell you a little bit more about my girlfriend so you can get a clearer picture. She suffers from depression and anxiety, and she's a bit on the heavier side. It's never been a problem for me, and I supported her in the ways I could. I truly believe that everyone deserves love, whether you suffer from depression or not. During 2022, her depression and anxiety got more and more out of control. She promised to go to therapy so she could control her emotions, and she's had a lot of emotional breakdowns while she's been with me. She'd get visibly upset about things, whether it was a silly joke or something regarding her size. In addition to all this, the stress of being in a long-distance relationship was also a lot for her to deal with. When she started her job in November, she became friends with a lot of her coworkers. Before she met me, she used to smoke and indulge in other substances that I'd rather not talk about here. When we met, she quit smoking and started hanging out with some new friends. A lot of our relationship problems began because she started drinking more. There were times throughout a work week that she'd hang out with her new friends and they drank 3 to 4 times a week. The friends she surrounded herself with weren't just occasional drinkers. They did heavier stuff, and I had a problem with that. I truly loved her, I still do. Even after she surrounded herself with people whose only desire is to drink, party, and whatever else. I've never had anything against drinking, but it continued to escalate into other things. In February of 2022, she wanted to go on a break after one of our arguments. Our break lasted 4 days, and it was on the 4th day that she called me. It was around this time that the messages to her best friend started appearing, the ones about her desire to have sex with her coworker. Now, this is where I'll give you a deeper explanation of her messages. She told me that she was in a weak state of mind because she had a lot of problems at work and with our relationship, which resulted in her mistaking her coworker's friendship for something else. She expressed to her coworker how she feels, talked about her depression and anxiety, talked about our relationship problems, and this person supported her. He told her things that she didn't hear from anyone else, and he made her feel whole. He took advantage of her weakness and tried to get closer to her through his words, hugs, and messages he sent. You'll probably want to know that he kissed her too. She claimed that the kiss was fast and insignificant, and that it didn't mean anything. Apparently, they only kissed once or twice, but she can't remember. She's since switched to a new position at work and started to realize his true intentions and how unfair and wrong it all was. As for the messages regarding her desire for the coworker, she claims that most of them were exaggerated, and that she wanted to objectify him, nothing more. She even said she never had a genuine desire to have sex with him, and the things she said to her friend were exaggerated lies. On the day I left, I overheard her talking Spanish with her friend on the phone. I'm not perfect in Spanish, but I heard her say that she didn't do anything with this coworker. She started therapy last week for her emotional problems and still tells me that she loves me and hopes that I can give her the benefit of the doubt. She said nothing else happened between them and that she doesn't want to lose me. She told me that she knows she messed up, and even though the messages were exaggerated, she lost herself in the moment. She said she was confused from all the attention and time she spent with him. Ultimately, I've decided not to end things, but I told her that we both need time to breathe, so we should take a break from having these conversations. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. The kissing. and the confusion of feelings for the coworker still disgusts me. But it hurts less with every passing day. A lot of people have told me to cut my losses and move on, but it's not that easy. I've never wanted to run away from her because of her depression and anxiety, and we've shared some great moments together.
This explanation doesn't paint OP's partner in a better light. Even more so than before, I'm convinced she hooked up with her coworker. I also don't buy the whole thing about her messages being exaggerated. She's only saying that because she got caught. It seems to me that the reason OP doesn't want to leave her is because he's invested so much into the relationship. However, the longer he stays with her, the harder it'll be for him to break away in future. OP goes back and forth with a Redditor, so let's see how that little chit-chat turned out.
Fabulous Implement says, "When my ex cheated on me and slept with someone else, he first insisted that it was only a kiss. After I broke up with him, months later, he confessed that they actually hooked up. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they specifically did. Cheating is cheating. And if she was going to be honest with you about what transpired between them, she would have told you immediately after it happened the first time. As a person with a variety of mental health issues, I would never cheat on my partner. It's never an excuse. I'm so sorry. Leave her. You deserve better. And you can and will find better." OP replies and says, "Thank you. It's hard to accept. I sacrificed a lot. We had our fights and I wasn't always the best, but cheating never crossed my mind. I've had temptation here and there, but it was only momentarily. I would never act on it. It just feels like months of work has gone into the trash." Fabulous Implement replied, "I completely understand, and I'm so sorry that you're going through this. I assure you no one who truly loves and values you would betray you in this way, let alone lie about it afterwards. I was with my ex for 4 years, and leaving him was the most difficult thing I've ever done. No part of me wanted to do it at the time, but looking back, it was the best decision I've ever made for myself. I'm grateful that I no longer tolerate people who treat me poorly. It's worth it to move on, and to get through to the other side of the pain and grief." OP says, "When you let go, how long did it take you, and what have you done to accept that your partner cheated on you? I know many people say that with time it gets better, and that one day you wake up and life just changes. I know my post is a form of looking for validation, as some have pointed out, but I'm not sure about anything. I'm doing my best to accept what happened so I can be happy with myself again."
I think Fabulous Implement shared some wise words with OP. This update only made me firmer in my belief that this relationship's doomed. The previous post never mentioned the kiss, and I was already suspecting that something more went down. OP said that his girlfriend only wanted to objectify her coworker, but I know that's not true. She opened up to this guy about very private things, and when things were bad between them, she was upset. It's safe to say that she saw her coworker as more than someone she just wanted to hook up with. I've known people who've cheated on their partners, and when it's with someone they're in regular contact with, it's never just sex. I hope OP can find his happy ending, hopefully, with someone he can trust and not have to worry about whenever they spend time apart. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.